How many listings do you need in your Etsy print-on-demand shop to really be seen? And how long does it take to create that many listings? While I may not have those exact answers for you, and they're of course different for each one of us, I will be diving into exactly what goal I am setting for second quarter 2025 and the commitment I am making to myself to reach that goal in this short 3-month time period. So if you are a new Etsy seller and you are looking for some goals to set structure for yourself, stick with me through this episode and see if our goals align, or if I can at least give you a little bit of food for thought as you set up your own expectations. Hey friends, welcome back to Etsy and Ecom with the Professional Mom. Today we're diving into one of my absolute favorite things, goal setting. But not just any kind of goal setting, because let's be real, we can't just set some vague wishful target like I want to make $5,000 this quarter, because that won't help us grow. And if you're a new seller who's still trying to get that first 100 sales, then let's be honest, it's probably not going to be achieved, which will just let us down. But what I do instead is break my goals down into quarters, focusing on the actionable items that I can control, not just the results I hope for. So for my 2 print-on-demand shops, setting a revenue target or number of sales for second quarter would be nice, but it doesn't feel realistic just yet. They're newer shops, the traffic is still building, and if you listened to my last episode, I only had a handful of sales for the entire first quarter. So setting a sales goal of 15 items isn't super motivational, to be honest, right? So what is realistic? The steps that I can take to get there. And that's what I'm going to track. So today I'm pulling back the curtain and sharing exactly what I'm going to focus on in second quarter to grow my 2 print-on-demand shops. From scaling up my listings to optimizing SEO and building momentum. Whether you're just starting your own Etsy shop or looking for ways to take yours to the next level, grab a notebook because these strategies are all about taking action. Let's jump in. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to a hugely popular Etsy seller, Cassie Johnson, who has a YouTube channel that I watch daily. And while I don't know her and I'm not part of her course, so I am definitely not marketing for her, she is one of the people that you know has tried and true information. She is honest about her journey. She gives actionable strategies, even for free on YouTube. And I know that that means her communities, her paid communities, are probably even more fantastic. It's people like her that inspire me to know that if you follow these specific steps, even if you didn't previously have an e-commerce background, that you too can make Etsy print on demand a viable livelihood for yourself and your family. Now, any forward movement is positive growth in your Etsy shop, but I am home full time right now, and I do have the capacity to commit to my Etsy shop as much as possible. And I wanted some hard and fast rules to really keep myself focused for aggressive growth in these shops. In an episode I recently rewatched from Cassie, which I will post in my show notes below because fully credit to her, and she said if she were to restart POD today, one of the things she would do is to focus on a single product, which I already know I do not do. I'm trying my hardest, but I just can't stay focused and I'm too excited about shiny objects. But the second one is she said she would get to 1,000 listings in her shop as quickly as possible. Recognizing that, of course, they still have to be quality designs because you don't want to sacrifice quality for quantity, but that is the number that she threw out there. And that might take you aback. I'm sure there are people listening that say, wow, I thought I heard having 30 or 40 items in my shop was a good starting point to start getting traction. And it is. Anything that is larger than 0 is an opportunity for you to get traction. But especially in print on demand, because it is higher competition, it's lower barrier to entry, it's lower risk. So to stand out and to start getting good at what we're doing and what we're designing for, 1,000 is the number that I personally am going to be striving for. And in my 2 print-on-demand shops, I am close to about half of that right now. However, if you listen to my last episode, one of my problems is that half of those I batch uploaded very quickly just to get my shop up and running, and about 250 listings are not optimized at all. We're talking not just the perfect keywords, but the listing titles aren't even using half of their characters, and some of the tags that are there are completely wrong for the niche. So I truly do have to go back in and revamp all of that. Now, luckily, revamping is still going to be easier and faster than designing and creating altogether. So in that shop, I'm close to about 500 listings once those are up and running, but that's still going to take a lot of time in and of itself. So in that shop, I am going to strive for 1,000 listings by the end of October. So that means over the next about 6 months, I want to get a new 500 listings, plus I want to get the old listings renewed and optimized. So that means, aside from the old listing renewal, I would need to have about, let's say 6 months times 30 days a month, 180 days. We'd say over the next 180 days, I want to create 500 new listings, which means about 3 listings a day for that shop to hit 1,000 listings before November 1st. And 3 listings a day is honestly not that hard. Now, will I consistently post 3 listings a day every day for the next 6 months, including weekends? Let's be honest, probably not. But if I can create 5 a day and then feel bad that I skipped Tuesday, so I create 5 a day on Wednesday, ultimately, if I am somewhere around creating that 20 listings a week mark, I am on track for a fantastic fourth quarter with 1,000 items in my shop. And let me talk about my other shop, and then we'll talk about strategies for how I'm going to get there. So in my first shop, which is more beachy and is t-shirt oriented, I currently have a few more than 500 listings. I might be closer to 600, but in that shop, I am setting an incredibly aggressive goal to have 1,000 listings by the end of second quarter. So that means by the end of June, I want to have 1,000 listings in my shop. Based on today, I have 13 weeks in the second quarter. So I do get that bonus week in one of the months. But to get to 1,000 listings, I would have to get about 40 new listings a week, which works out to about 6 listings a day. And that's not just weekdays, that includes weekends. So that is incredibly, incredibly aggressive. It might be more aggressive than I should even recommend. And I will continue to keep an eye on it and monitor it, but I would much rather set this highly aggressive goal for myself and fall short at 800 or 900 listings by the end of June than sit here and try to just do 1 or 2 at a time and continue to allow my attention to go from side to side. So because I do have specific niches and specific cornerstone products that I am focusing on in each of these shops, it should be much easier for me to batch create and get items listed in bulk for sale on Etsy. So looking at the numbers, of course, they look high, and there are definitely people out there that are going to look at that and say, you're insane. You can't possibly create 6, 7, 8 listings a day every day. And that's fine. But if you follow several different processes and strategies from others, you'll see that there are systems in place that allow you to quickly create one very strong optimized design that you can plug and play with 50 or 100 different professions or hobbies or other scalable words that allow a single item and one single design to quickly be escalated to a marketable product for hundreds of different customer types. And that's what leads us into the how in the world will I do this? How is it possible? How do you make that happen? So to make that happen, you need 3 things. One is a niche-driven approach. So we are making products that people are actively searching for, and we're focused on quickly batch creating designs that we know will sell based on our niche. A very popular example is the teacher niche. So let's think about that. We have a niche-driven approach. We know we are going to make gifts for teachers, and right off the bat, that helps us to focus and to streamline. Now that you have your niche for teachers, you will be able to create batchable, scalable designs so that you're not reinventing the wheel for each new item. And like I said, you go out there and you brainstorm and look for a concept that can be plugged in with the word teacher. So for an overly simplified example, best teacher ever. And you put that on a mug. But you create your own style so that it is unique. And you can use your research that you've already done about the teacher niche, that they like to have attractive colors, or that often there's a script font mixed with a bold font, or whatever other popular stylization is found in that niche. Once you take a few minutes to put together the right design, you now take a step back and you delete the word teacher and replace it with every possible iteration of teacher that you can come up with. So it niches down, it makes the buyer even more connected to that specific product and even more likely that they will purchase it. So now you have your best teacher ever to best first grade teacher ever, best second grade teacher ever, etc. And then besides grades, you might look into specific subjects, best English teacher ever. Maybe there is a special practitioner, so best ESOL teacher ever. Best special ed teacher ever. There are different types of teachers or maybe educational staff. Best educational director ever. Best principal ever. If you truly think you've completely maxed out the entire education system, you can look at another profession. So nurses is another one with a lot of branches that a lot of sellers do well with. Best nurse ever. Best pediatric nurse ever. Best ICU nurse ever. And you can see how this one unique design you've created can quickly multiply into 50 or 100 items. Now, I'm not promising that your design is going to do well, and I might use this approach once or twice to get some listings up if I find a design that I think is tried and true, but unique enough that it would get me some sales. But it's probably not going to be the path you take for all 1,000 items. However, if you were a skeptic a minute ago, then hopefully now you're starting to recognize how it is possible to build to this scale. The opposite brainstorming method that I will use for a lot of creation is to sit down and rather than having one design or phrase that can scale out a million ways, is to find a focused concept, or honestly, sometimes I've been finding 1 or 2 specific keywords that I like that inspire me, and I will sit down and instantly create 10 or 15 designs for that target word. So even though research is important, I often find myself going down the rabbit hole, finding designs I like, and then sometimes I will go back, create a design, and I'll realize it was too oddly similar to the first one. Like I thought I created it, but obviously it's because I saw somebody else's awesome design, so I have to scrap it. So sometimes I'll make myself a list of keywords that I love, and then I'll sit down and try to think outside of the box. How many different ways or different aesthetics can I put this one item onto? So let's say I was in the pet niche and beagle gift or beagle dog owner was a trending term with high demand but low competition, I might sit and rather than trying to sift through exactly what the best-selling single beagle dog owner gift is, I would sit down and say, how can I use a beagle in 10 different designs right now? Can I do something sarcastic? Can I do something sentimental? Can I do a customized beagle owner portrait? Can I do a beagle memorial gift? Can I make a beagle's custom name tag? Can I do a cartoon beagle? Can I do a caricature of a beagle? How many different kind of stylizations or artsy designs or trend-based designs can I put together using just one or two keywords to create a few different options? And for me as a non-graphic designer, that can be a lot harder, but it can also force my creativity and force my practice at design skills. And even though simple sells and a lot of the phrase-based things are easier for me and obviously much more scalable more quickly, this is the other hand to that helps create the more unique products and maybe has more potential for bestsellers. Who knows? So once you have your niches and you have your batchable, scalable designs, third, finally, you need a system to efficiently create and upload. So some people like to do this in small batches. Like if you do the beagle example, you might create 10 of those and then list them all instantly and then go on to a new design and then list. Or you might be the opposite where you like to create all week and then you sit down on the weekend and upload everything you've done for the week. But no matter your time frame or your preferences there, if you have a system and a commitment to it, then all you need are some templates and some copy and paste wording to really escalate your speed of being able to post. So this is one of those huge reasons that big Etsy sellers recommend we focus on one product at a time, obviously because then you are focusing on designing and not listing new items, but you can also capitalize on copy and pasting a lot of the important and tedious pieces of the Etsy listing backend. So for instance, when you're selling mugs, you already have a template that includes a lot of popular keywords, which might say coffee lover gift, travel mug for mom, whatever else. And of course, you can trade them out when they're not necessary. But then all you have to do is input the new keywords based on your design, and your description would already be preloaded with this coffee tumbler makes a great gift for Mother's Day and is a 20-ounce skinny white insulated tumbler that can be personalized with his or her name on it. Whatever your big go-to general listing description is, that includes all the pieces you might need for potential customer questions. And then you do the same with photos. And that's the big key for photos and why you use mock-ups, especially print on demand. But not only that, but you don't need to create 10 different mock-ups for all 10 spots in your listing photos. You can create 3 or 4 that have all of the information you need and can be used over and over again, no matter what the product is. So for instance, if you're selling a white coffee tumbler with a lid, you can have an entire slide that shows a plain coffee tumbler with the lid, says all of the specifications on it, the size, the weight, what you can do with it, whether it's microwavable, dishwashable, etc. And you can have another slide that shows that product and says, here's how to personalize it. And right away, those 2 slides can be added photos, start maxing out the information for the customer, and also minimize what you actually have to mock up and show to the potential customer. So you see how creating this system to be able to start copy and pasting makes it a little bit faster for you each and every time. Now, these are my goals and they are incredibly lofty. And I'm even saying right now, I don't necessarily expect to hit them both. But by setting them high, like I said, I'd much rather fall. What's the phrase? If you shoot for the moon, even if you fall, you'll fall amongst the stars, you'll land amongst the stars. So I'd much rather set this high goal for 1,000 and then be like, oh, darn, I only hit 900. And so I'm only getting $1,000 of revenue this month instead of 1,500. Whatever it is, and we'll see those numbers hopefully as we start growing and keeping the ball rolling. But I want to make sure that you recognize, A, this is not my first Etsy shop. They're not my second Etsy shops. B, this is not my first time doing competitor analysis. I am not starting from scratch. I'm not starting from ground zero with my keyword searches. I have been doing this for the past 3-4 months every day. I've already created myself lists of layouts that are selling, colors that are selling. I have a canvas of inspiration boards already, and you can go out and purchase that from others, or you can take some courses or some lessons, but I have a lot of this knowledge that is allowing me to start sprinting. That does not mean that that's where everybody is, and that does not mean that that's where you have to be. You can set yourself a goal. Your aggressive goal might be getting up 5 listings a week. And if that's your aggressive goal, then go for it. You might still have a full-time job. You might still be trying to figure out the ins and outs of Canva. You might not know what your niche is yet. So set goals based on where you're at, but make them focused and achievable. And do yourself a favor. If you don't have a lot of data from the past several months and you don't have a lot of those visits yet, then set yourself a goal that seems exciting for you to try to hit. So for me, a high goal, an almost ridiculous goal, is what excites me and motivates me to stay focused and work harder. For you, that might not be the case. If for you, growth from 10 sales in first quarter to 20 sales in second quarter is a great goal, then set that for yourself, but make sure you give yourself actionable items to get there. Unless you're the one going in, buying the 20 items from yourself, which we can agree is counterproductive, then you can't impact how many sales you make, but you can impact how many listings you post, how many new designs you create, how much research you do, how much marketing you do, or whether you're posting on social media. So set your goals based on what you can do before we can start setting goals based on what we want those outcomes to be. Does that make sense? It does in my mind. Hopefully it does to you as well. And this has made me motivated to hit the ground running, especially now that I recognize the day's half over and I haven't made my designs. But I want to hear what your goals are for your shop. What do you consider an aggressive goal for your shop? And are you looking at it as a 30-day goal or a quarterly goal? Send me a message through Instagram. My contact info is in the show notes below. I am continuing to try to be better about social media because I do want to connect with you directly. It's just a social media thing. I don't love it, but I do love talking to you about it. So please be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more tips, tricks, and ideas in the next episode. As always, thanks so much for joining me, and I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.